Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Today's question comes from Jackie in Utah. Buckle up, John. My husband and I are 47 years old, and we're both impulsive spenders.
Heyo.
I recently came across your podcast.
Hold on, can we start right there?
Yeah, that's some self-awareness. I respect that.
Okay. James, I know we got to go through this question, but I just got to start right here.
We'll get there eventually.
We are both impulsive spenders. This is not a diagnostic label. Like, we are both 5'8", right?
Just a fact.
So we can't reach high things on our cabinets. That would be a logical sentence. We are both impulsive spenders is not an empirical fact the way this is laid out. This is actually, my husband and I are 47 years old, and we both act like children.
There it is.
We choose to be emotionally immature with our spending habits. And I haven't read the rest of this. I'm just so sick of the way we have taken adjectives and nouns and created them as identity verbs. Like, we've created them. I'm an impulsive spender. Hey,
what can you do?
What can you do? No! You're an impulsive child. All right. I will not interrupt again unless I have to. Go ahead.
Thank you for that, John. That was a very helpful redefinition. Here we go. I recently came across your podcast, and we're both fired up about getting out of debt. I'm having some real fear and doubt about myself and whether if I'll be able to change my habits and control my spending. Growing up, my family didn't have very much money, so I have always had a scarcity mindset, and I know that's where my impulse spending comes from. My husband isn't as much of a spender as I am. He came from a financially stable home, but they never followed a budget. The person I don't trust to be able to make these financial changes is myself. I've tried to change in the past. I get all fired up about something and start down the road of change, but before long I revert back to old habits. I completely break trust with myself and end up feeling ashamed and defeated. I desperately want to make lasting changes with our finances, but I just don't have any faith in my ability to do this. How do I restore trust in myself?
All right. So first, Jackie, I apologize for interrupting at the very beginning and throwing a temper tantrum because you're calling it out. I am emotionally immature with my money, and I don't know what to do. And I've got a lot of compassion and sympathy for that question. So when somebody says, how do I restore trust in myself? My instant response is always, be trustworthy. Be trustworthy. And so what does that mean? That means I have to begin to create a world where I do what I say I'm going to do. Now, sometimes we overlook, we step over dollars to pick up dimes when it comes to stuff like this. So, for instance, I am a person who will always follow a budget. How can I not follow a budget? If I spend money that's not in the budget, what do I have to spend money? I have to have my ATM card. I have to have cash. Cool. If I take away my ATM card, if I take away cash, if I get rid of Amazon Prime, then I cannot do those things. Similar, how can I stop drinking? Step one is get rid of the alcohol. Get rid of the environments where there's alcohol. So how do I restore trust in myself? It's not this white knuckle event where you're going to be flexing. I'm going to put in significant hurdles in my way that make it almost impossible to fail when it comes to gaining trust in myself. Like for me, I struggled with getting up and going out to getting in the car, letting the car warm up, driving across town to the gym. So 7 or 8 years ago, I just started slowly piecemealing the gym together in my house. Now it's right there, right? I've taken away all the friction. Now when I say I'm going to work out tomorrow, I just go downstairs and work out. See what I'm saying? So
yeah.
Minimize. And there's been seasons when I gave my wife my ATM card. I was out of control. I was an emotionally immature spender. I gave my wife my ATM card, so I literally couldn't spend. And then I had to sit with that discomfort. What do I want to buy right now? Oh, I don't really want to buy anything. I'm bored. Or I have a scary meeting coming up. Or I don't really want to go do this assignment. Or I have administrative tasks I don't want to do. I had to deal with why I was feeling those things. I didn't have that emotional that little scrolling thing that makes you feel so good, that dopamine. I didn't have that anymore, right? So how do you restore trust? Become trustworthy. What do you think, George?
Yeah, I'm with that. I was just thinking there's this element of kind of making the bad habits more difficult and making the good habits easy. And part of that is I'm taking the apps off my home screen and putting just EveryDollar there. So anytime I open my phone, I see EveryDollar. It's a reminder. I'm going to put the EveryDollar sticker on my debit card so that I'm reminded to go check the app to make sure I have the money and make sure I budget for it. It's things like that you may sound silly, it might seem silly to other people, but if it keeps you on track, if that calendar where you have the red X because you did one more day of budgeting and you tracked it, that's a win. You don't want to break the chain now. That stuff matters psychologically. And so I don't know what that is for our friend Jackie, but she's got to figure out the root of that and where she's stumbling. And if that is Amazon, we're taking out our debit card information, we are deleting it, we are making it difficult, blocking that website on our computer, whatever we have to do in order to get those good habits in place.
I can't stress that enough that we over intellectualize behavior change sometimes. And sit down with your husband and say, hey, it's really, really important to me that every week we do a budget together. Every Sunday night, can we just put this on the calendar that we don't ever miss this? This is so important to me. It helps me feel safe, and I'm trying to change my life. I want to change our tree. I want to change everything about our world. Will you just have this budget meeting with me on Sundays? Right? What husband's going to say no to that?
And afterwards, we get to watch our favorite show. And we can't do that until we have the budget meeting.
Yes. Or if you want to be more adventurous than watch a show. But we'll do things together after that, right? But it's about bringing people together. And good for you, Jackie. Good for you. This kind of change is hard, but also, wow. And by the way, changing a scarcity mindset, begin to keep a gratitude journal. Write down 5 things a day that start with, I am grateful for. And begin to tip well. Scarcity mindset cannot be in the presence of. That's right. It withers and dies on its own little thorny vine when you are insanely generous, right? Because then you realize, I gave this guy, I over-tipped this person because they were so wonderful. I gave them their light bill or their water bill for the month, and that means I got to make lunch for the next 2 days. That exchange is almost always worth it, right? Always, always. So good for you, Jackie. Great question.